Yesterday I went to family dinner and I saw relatives that I haven't spoken to in over 5 years, and I didn't actually come out to them when I came out back then to my parents. And for a really long time, my dad was like, oh yeah, he doesn't mention it. But now that I had my surgery and I had my name change and I had like all of like these things, and with like HRT, it became something that is just like unavoidable and that needs to be addressed and talked about. But I didn't actually have to come out to anyone because apparently they just all knew my new name and they used my new name, and that was wild. Like, I don't have contact with my mom because obviously she's one of like the people who were not so happy and nice with me coming out as trans, and also never really gave me like a supportive environment for me to open up and talk about how I felt back during my childhood, because I knew that I was trans for a really long time, and I've been carrying this pain of being stuck in a body that doesn't feel like mine and living on autopilot and disassociating. Just carried that my entire life. For a lot of people, things now just make sense. My dad is kind of interesting because he's very good at actually using my new name, which is fascinating. He does like the thing of like when he's talking about me in the past, he's using my old name as if that is like a completely different person, which I think I need to talk to him about. But he still struggles with like pronouns. It's kind of like a 50-50, or I guess more like a 70-30 of him using he, him for me. So that's something that might change if I'm just spending more time with him. But back then, I didn't really have like contact to anyone, right? I didn't talk to people. I was just distancing myself from everybody. And I was like, I just need to go on this journey alone. I gotta find myself. I gotta figure out everything on my own. And I made a lot of mistakes, right? The reason why I create content, why I do a lot of the things, is because I shared my entire journey, and I also try to help people not make the mistakes that I did. When it comes to me just trusting my endocrinologist and thus being underdosed when it comes to estrogen, but overdosed when it comes to testosterone blockers, when it comes to like the hopelessness that I felt, where it was like, I don't like existing as a guy, but like being a trans woman is not good enough. Those were like the thoughts that I had for a really long time. And when I was 22, I was like, I mean, it can't really get much worse. And I wish I would have transitioned sooner. But also, obviously, because of, my mom, I didn't really feel like it was safe enough for me to come out back then. Another thing when it comes to being trans is imposter syndrome. That is a huge issue that I still struggle with, and that is something that my mom did to me as well, right? Like, I came out to my mom and she was like, I wish I had a real daughter, someone who could get pregnant and give me grandchildren and so on. And it's like, if I would have come out sooner, I don't think, no matter what I did, it would have been good enough on the basis that I cannot provide biological children or something. So it was like really important for me to like be on my own path and discover myself and go on this journey alone. And I didn't talk to my dad once I moved. Didn't really have contact with my brother either. I didn't talk to the larger family for like years, right? This is like, I don't know, at this point, like 5 to 8 years ago. I did my legal name change. I got bottom surgery 2 years ago, and then for Christmas, I reached out to my dad again, and the first thing he did was call me she. And I was like, whoa, I just expected that I'm going to go there and I'm just going to be misgendered all of the time. Obviously, after a while, the more I was like, spending time with him, the more he, started going back into like he, him mode, which I'm not entirely sure what is going on there. And I kind of expected that probably my dad is going to tell my siblings that I transitioned and so on, and that I came out. But it's just like, I didn't get asked about me being trans. It didn't feel like the elephant in the room. Like, obviously, it's still like something where it's like, oh, you were gone like these past couple of years. So how have you been? And, you know, how was the transitioning? Which is like, you know, it's fine, right? I talked with my uncle about it, who was interested to kind of learn about the inner struggles that trans people, you know, specifically me, has. But this is something that a lot of people can relate to, of like this hopelessness and how like every social interaction just like it nags on you, it like tears you down, because it's just like it feels like people don't see who you are. They see this like body that doesn't really connect with your brain, and it's difficult to explain gender dysphoria to people who don't feel it, who are also not being reminded of it literally everywhere they go, every social interaction they have. So I try to like explain this, and I try to explain how things have now changed with me transitioning, right? It's still not perfect, but a lot of things, a lot of behaviors that that they noticed, it just makes more sense. Obviously, there were a lot of people there, so I think that if I'm going to see them more frequently, it's going to like come up eventually. But yesterday at least I was, you know, positively surprised, and it didn't feel as awkward as I expected. It was pretty much just like it's been ages since we've seen you, and you know, we're glad that we can at least get together. Like, obviously I still don't have contact to my mom, and I'm kind of glad that I'm a full person and I'm able to grow past my shitty childhood and go on this journey of like bettering myself, because that is a big part of transitioning, right? I've dealt with depression, social anxiety, and so on, like all of my life, and on top of that I had the identity crisis. I had gender dysphoria, and I still have it to some extent. I still have like some levels of body dysmorphia and imposter syndrome that hopefully will get better the more time passes and the more like memories I make. But because of all of the work that I put in, all of the pain that I endured, all of the roadblocks I fought through, I got to a point where the past couple of years, when I make memories, they feel like mine. They feel real. I still have issues, and, you know, male puberty has done a lot of damage that I still struggle with when it comes to things like voice, when it comes to like the regret of not doing it sooner, when it still comes to like a lot of other mental issues that I have, you know, feelings of like self-doubt and low self-esteem and self-worth and whatnot. Like, I can work on these things because now it feels like I am actually improving my life, and I have like a chance of actually improving my life. Back then, when it comes to like eating healthy, like why would I bother eating healthy and like try to work on keeping a body intact that doesn't feel like mine? These were the issues that I dealt with, and I decided to go on this journey purely just so I can spend some years being happy. It does suck that society makes it incredibly difficult for, you know, trans people to be themselves and get to this point, but all of the hardship, it's worth it. It is worth it. Obviously, sometimes you have to wait until you're in a safe enough environment for you to pursue this. And right now, you know, with the political climate and so on, with the spotlight on us, with all of like the fear mongering, the harassment, and the violence, you know, it's not grooming or like a fetish or whatever they throw at us. It's just so you can live your life instead of just being in survival mode, or, you know, you don't care if you live or die and everything is like meaningless and so on. And transitioning helped me get to this point where I could be myself. And it's nice that I can connect at least with some parts of my family as myself, and I'm not forced to like pretend to be someone I'm not just for their approval or something. Obviously, my transitioning journey is not complete, so things are going to take some time. It's also going to probably be something new for them as well, something that they need to adjust to as well. But it is nice that people can see how transitioning has helped me and them just accepting me as who I am. And I hope that things in society are going to get better as well, to the point where people can appreciate that trans people just want to live their lives, and we are not trying to dictate whatever people should believe or whatnot, or, you know, making all the cis kids trans. And instead, it's just like, it's a journey that you go on to embrace who you are and live as yourself, live as your authentic self, and to just have more people appreciate that, like, we go through so much, we deal with so many things purely to better ourselves.